Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. Today I wanted to talk about cows and how we manage them on just our 6-acre homestead. So let's go ahead and go over some of the logistics of cows, and then I'll go ahead and share our story of getting cows because it didn't quite pan out exactly how we envisioned it and planned it. So first we'll just go over some of the logistics. You're gonna see me looking down at my notepad here, but that's just so I stay on track. Tiger, please. And a kitty in my lap, apparently. So you hear a lot of talk about how many acres do you need for a cow. I've heard as little as 1 acre per cow up to like 3 to 4 to 6 acres per cow. And I think a lot of that depends on where you're located and how your pasture looks, okay? So here in Iowa, we get some pretty cold winters and we also get some pretty great summers. So pasture for us is about 6 months out of the year, really. And so we need to be supplementing with hay for half of the year. Now, if you're able to do that and you're able to fit that into your budget, then I say, sure, go for it. If you only have a small acreage and you can rotate out pastures and manage the manure and feed high quality hay with possibly some grain, then yeah, you can definitely manage some cows on a smaller acreage like we are. But that definitely just depends on what you're willing to feed them and what your cow does well with, okay? So we are planning on doing rotational grazing with our cows. So we were really blessed when we moved into this place because a lot of it was already set up with some fencing and infrastructure that we were able to just amend and use. So we are starting with 2 pastures right now. We have them in one pasture nearest the barn for winter time, so they have a bit of a windshield. And we're hoping in the next pasture, next year, the other pasture, that we're able to build some sort of a windbreak for them, so that way we can just rotate the 2 pastures all through the summer and spring and fall as well. With that though, we have toyed around with the idea of maybe electrical fencing to make our lives a little bit easier, and to kind of be able to control the rotational grazing a little bit more. Oh my goodness, you're a lover. But we just got the cows, okay? So we moved in August into this place, and we got the cows. It was the end of August we moved in. We got the cows early October. So we are literally just flying by the seat of our pants, just like with everything else we usually do. And we don't know exactly the logistics. We have a plan, right? But we're gonna have to see how things work for our specific property. So cows are herd animals as well, obviously. They shouldn't have just one cow. I mean, your cow's gonna be sad. I think of a human. I mean, I know they're animals, right? They're not like a human, but you don't want to be isolated and alone for your entire life, and your cows are going to be the same way. They want to have a companion. I find my girls, one's usually looking out for the other while the other's napping. They love each other. Like, they'll frolic together. They're super cute. They'll cuddle up with each other, and then sometimes I'll look out and they'll also be just headbutting each other randomly. So it's comical to watch, but I can't imagine life with just one cow. I know people do it, and I know that you can also have a few other like herd animals with them. Like, I've heard of like a companion donkey and a goats, I think, would do. I don't know exactly. Hey. Wow. We've got the loveliest cats in all the land, don't we? Another reason that we wanted to go ahead and get 2 family milk cows instead of just 1 was because our plans are to always have 1 in milk. So we want to rotate them, the breeding cycles for them, and somehow be able to make that work. Right now they're both pregnant and they're both due at the same time. So it's either one's gonna have a longer dry off period or a shorter dry off period, and we'll just have to see. Well, then, you know, that's another point, is thinking about the breeding, right? You have to think, in order to make milk, the cow is going to have a baby, just like humans, right? Or any other mammal. They don't just automatically produce it. So you have to think of what's available in your area and what's available around you. For us, on our 6 acres, a bull is an absolute no. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the land, and we do not have, we have small kids. We have 5 small kids. I just wouldn't feel comfortable having a bull here. Especially, I've heard Jersey bulls are buck wild, so we wouldn't want to go down that route, but any bull can be unpredictable, and we just don't want to deal with that. So that leaves us with either going to somebody we know with a bull, maybe dropping our cows off with them for about a month or 2 to get bred. We don't have a trailer to be able to do that, so we don't have transportation for our cow to be able to do that. So that leaves an AI service, artificial insemination. So there are AI techs that you can find around your area. Luckily, we have one pretty close to us that will hopefully be willing, when it's time to get them bred again, to come and do that for us. But then you have to factor in that cost. You have to factor in that might not take the first time, second time, even the 3rd time. So there's extra cost there. And then you also have to really time their breeding with that. So that is another benefit of having 2 cows, though, is that they will kind of let you know when they're in heat, whereas if there's just 1 cow, it can be a little bit tricky to determine when exactly they're in heat and when exactly you need to call the AI tech. Then you have to think of, okay, when these cows are having their calves, what are you going to do with the calves? Are you going to raise them up on your farm for meat? If it's a bull, are you going to have another milk cow? Are you going to sell the calves? You know, with more cows, obviously comes the need for more space. So just some things to be thinking of. You know, where is the cow going to give birth at? Do you have the means for that even? When we first got our cows, our barn wasn't even set up. We would not have been able to start with a cow and a calf, okay? The situation that we were in, we needed a cow that was bred, and we needed them to not have a cow on them, or a calf on them. So our cows are actually heifers, so they've never calved before. This is their first pregnancy, and they're both due at the end of March. Everybody, when you look into family milk cows, says do not get a heifer. It will make you cry. You will not want to milk that cow. They will not want to be milked. That it's going to be near impossible. So we'll see how it goes. So someone in my comments the other day mentioned Joel Salatin, and I'm a big fan. I've been looking into him, listening to his podcasts for quite a few months now. And he is all about regenerative farming, right? So when I think of having cows and milk, the idea of getting 2 Jersey cows was a little intimidating to me at first because they're great milk producers. They can produce upwards of, 5-ish gallons a day sometimes. I don't think our heifers will to start off with, but they can. And then you have to think, what are you going to do with all that milk, right? So that's a big reason we got the pigs when we did too, was, well, okay, if we have all of this milk, we can, anything we're not using as far as cheese making, feeding our own family, we can go ahead and feed our pigs with it. Or we can even soak the chickens' feed in it. And that's just going to be good for them, right? I've heard of people even dumping it on their gardens, that it's excellent for getting that soil nice and rich and nutrient dense to grow your food in. So there's not going to be any waste as far as our situation goes, but I can see if you don't have the garden, if you don't have the pigs, if you don't have the chickens, it could probably add up to be quite a bit. You could try to sell some, for sure, depending on the laws in your state. Here in Iowa, raw milk just got legalized this past summer, so that's cool. It opens up a whole new door of possibilities regarding that. But, it's also learning a lot of skills that we're going to be using for our family, like the cheese making, like the, just all of the dairy products, the cream cheese, the sour cream, yada, yada. But we want to be able to go ahead and eliminate dairy purchases from the store 100%. That's the goal with these cows, is to just 100% feed our family and be self-sustainable with our 2 Jersey cows. So I'm really excited about that. I think that it's going to really pay for itself in that sense, because we are a dairy heavy family. Meat and dairy are a big part of our diets. And so I think that is more, it's going to at least pay for their hay costs for the winter. It's going to make it worth it, I think. So now let's talk a little bit about what led us into getting cows and how our situation arose and why we decided to go for it just 2 months into moving into our acreage with 0 cow experience. I kid you not, none. I've never been up close to a cow. I have never milked a cow. I did not grow up on a farm. We lived in a small town, which was still very much a town, and completely jumped into the homesteading life, just all in, 100%, okay? So why did we do that? Are we crazy? Like, what's wrong with us? And honestly, after this past winter, I've thought that a lot, like, what the heck is wrong with us? What are we doing? But it's been literally the most fulfilling thing in my life. When I was a kid, you know, they would ask you in school, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? I had 2 things that I wanted, 2 very strong desires. Number 1 was being a mom. Praise the Lord, I am fulfilling that calling. Number 2, I always wanted a cow, okay? And I didn't think that I would get that in my adult life. When my husband and I first bought our very first house and had our very first baby, that wasn't on our radar at all. We thought, well, maybe someday we could get some land. It did not seem like it would be reality for us. We were broke. We started having kids pretty young. I was 22 when I had my first baby. And we were ecstatic to have even bought a house. Our parents hadn't been able to do that. It was amazing. It felt like we made it. But then we started feeling like we just weren't fulfilled, okay? So years go by, more babies come, life circumstances happen, and we come to the conclusion that, yeah, what we want is some land. We want that self-sustainability. COVID, of course, the pandemic rocked everybody, right? Everybody had this thought of, what in the world am I going to do? How am I going to feed my family, right? And so that really opened up the door of just learning to be self-sufficient where we were. We were in a small town. I was able to have a little backyard garden, but we weren't even able to have chickens. So once I started learning those skills and really thinking about our family and about how I wanted our future to go, and not coming from a space of fear in it, but just coming from a space of wanting to provide and wanting to be secure in that sense. So that led us down the trail of starting to look for some land. Well, long story short, here we are. The land totally fell into our laps. We ended up moving 3 weeks postpartum with my 5th baby into a house that we had no idea that we were going to even get a month prior. So it was all God. It was an amazing testimony. I'd love to share that sometime. But this video is about cows. So what we did, though, is when we first moved in, everything happened so fast. Everything moved just perfectly. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to have a cow. Babe, I said, Mark, I want to, my husband, I want to get a cow. Like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like fulfilling my heart desires, right? And, well, where do you find a cow? We had no idea who had a cow, right? I knew like literally one person who had like outside of like a dairy operation, who had like a family cow, okay? And so I went to her. I was like, hey, where'd you get your cow? We were actually getting our raw milk from them at the time. Well, she had a contact. I contacted him. He happened to be downsizing his herd because he was just a bit older and was ready to just downsize, especially for the winter, and was willing to sell me these cows at an awesome price and deliver them because we had zero means of transporting any cows. So once again, being us, we decided to go all in and we got the cows. So we ended up realizing that the fencing needed quite a bit more work than we anticipated. We got that done literally the morning that the cows were dropped off. Would I recommend that? No, it was very stressful. And it was a lot of back and forth between, you know, handling the newborn, like we still had a newborn, right? And fixing the fence, and then doing the other millions of things that you do when you first move into a house, right? And so we got that all fixed. It was all well and good. We got the cows in. We were super ecstatic. Well, then the next couple of days, my cow gets pneumonia. Ugh, I was devastated. But apparently that's super common, especially when you transport them. Found a vet that was super close to us. In hindsight, I probably should have researched a vet beforehand, but luckily these guys were great. They came out, got her taken care of, no problem at all. And yeah, it's been pretty smooth sailing since then. Now, my cows haven't calved yet, okay? So smooth sailing in the sense that, yeah, we go and we feed the cows and we give them hay, and sure, we don't have a bale hook, so we can't move the big round bales into there, but yeah, we're fine with just pitchforking hay in, no big deal. Gives the kids some good work ethic, right? And it gets me outside every day. So that hasn't been a problem, but I am a little nervous for when they calve, just because of everything you hear. But I'm very confident. I think with homesteading that you have to have a certain level of I can do it attitude, right? And I'm pretty confident that I can do anything. And that doesn't, I don't say that in like arrogance, but in like, if I set my mind to something, if I've had something laid on my heart, like owning a cow and self-sustainability, then I am going to find a way to make it happen. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? So it's gonna be tough. We're gonna be training heifers to milk, and we've never milked a cow. But I'm excited, and it's going to be great. Do I recommend doing it that way? Probably not. Does anybody else recommend doing it that way? No. But I think you have to know yourself and know what motivates you too. I know for us, it really, like making the decision, calling the guy who had the cow, and knowing that he had these cows available now, pushed us into making a decision that possibly we weren't ready for. We possibly could have waited till spring or summer of this year, but also set things into motion for us. So we can get into tackling a million different projects all at once, like a lot of people, right? Or I don't like to call it procrastination because I don't think I'm sitting around doing nothing, but I can get really wrapped into just a ton of different things all at the same time. And it makes it hard for me to finish a project in that sense. So when I'm like, yeah, we can get cows one day if we do this, and then, yeah, we'll work on that for a little bit, but then, oh, wait, this needs done, and oh my gosh, we could do this over here, and wait a second, we gotta get the garden going because spring is coming. You know what I mean? It can be really easy to just be overwhelmed with the amount of things that you have going on and then not get one specific thing done. So for us, it was nice to be able to have a date. Okay, the cows are coming this date. We need to have the fencing done by this time, and we need to have all of our supplies ready and all of our things in place, in motion for that to happen. And we made it happen. It really motivated us and pushed us to where we needed to be for that. Now it's been great. Even the big, huge polar vortex, Arctic blast that we just had, the cows did great. It was tough hauling buckets of water. It was unlike anything we had dealt with. Last year, I didn't go outside in the winter. I stayed nice and cozy inside with my kiddos, right? This year, it's really forced me to be outside every single day, morning and night, checking on our animals, whether I don't feel good or not, whether it's cold or not, and just really enjoy some things that I never necessarily noticed before. So it's been a really nice, sweet, tender learning time for me. And maybe I'm still in the honeymoon phase, right? Maybe in a few months it's gonna be terrible, right? But for now, I am just so, and I can't stress it enough, so incredibly thankful for this beautiful property that we have been given. Despite how much work it needs, it's perfect for us. It's perfect, and it's pushing us to do the work and put in the work and feel good about it, and feel confident when we see something come to completion. For now too, like there's already been a few things that have come up. Their fencing is failing in a few spots. We really need to work on our fencing jobs. we, you know, we're learning. We're new homesteaders. This is our very first year. Like I said, we've never been around livestock. So we're learning and it's fun, right? So it's pushing us outside of anything that we have ever done or known, but it's also fulfilling like this deep soul desire that I'm just like, this is good. So yeah, so for now, we're fixing fencing. So I hope you guys like fencing videos because that's what's to come. And keeping the cows fed, cozy, warm, dry, and excited for them to come into milk. So should you get a family milk cow? I don't know. It depends, right? It depends on what your goals are and what your desires are. Do I think that a cow is right for every homestead? No, I really don't. And I can say that with full confidence after only having them for a couple of months. So it's hard work. Honestly, when the cows got dropped off, I was scared to be in the fencing with them. I was terrified. I was embarrassingly scared, like embarrassed of my own fear, because I wanted these cows since I was 11 years old, and now I have these cows and I didn't even want to be near them because they really scared me. They're just the size of them. I don't speak cow. I have no idea what they're thinking, right? And so I was just, it was a big, it just pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And for me, that's exactly what I needed. Now, I mean, I have a healthy level of fear of them now, still, for sure. Milking, it's gonna be just fine. It'll be great. But should you get a family milk cow on a small homestead, on a small acreage farm, a lot goes into it. There's a lot of questions to ask, but do I think that you could make it work? Absolutely. We're making it work. Do I think that it could also go terribly wrong? Absolutely. But what in homesteading couldn't, right? I mean, that's kind of the fun of it. It can go great or it can go terrible. I mean, let's be real, right? We've all experienced those losses and wins. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you have a cow? Just like a family milk cow. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are some pros and cons, do you think? I would love to hear. I think the cows are so far my most prized possession on the homestead. I just love them. I love looking out at the window and just seeing them out there. It just brings me such joy. So, like I said, let me know in the comments if you have a cow, if you're enjoying it. Let me know some tips or tricks that you've learned along the way. I would really love to hear them. And thank you so much for watching. If you like this sort of content, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps me out as a small YouTube channel. And I will know to continue to bring videos like this your way. Have a great day. Thanks.